Hey, shalom, shalom, shalom. Back again with another quick lesson, and we're willing to be edifying, just in between jobs, and trying to get a lesson in. As always, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rahachadash. Double honors to the apostles, the elders, the bishops, the leadership of Great Millstone. Peace and salutations to the house of David, to the 144,000, to the men, women, and children scattered throughout the four corners of the earth, of the hopeful elect. To you I say shalom. So as you can see, we have the fair use template. Gonna just be going over a couple of things that was it Shaib Bolson, and again, brilliant man. Just his mind is made up of another God. They're the Islamic so-called deity. So, his perception, his understanding, his rationalization, his reasoning stems from that understanding. Nevertheless, there are things that he says that, it cannot be disputed. So we're just going to probably listen to a little bit of this, touch on a few, and, Lord willing, to be edifying. So again, it's the fair use disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for programs such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. So with that being said, let's just play a little bit of this man and hear his different analysis on different things.
Things that you really need to know about them. This is something that you really must know about Americans and about Westerners. Every interaction is always and only used by them as an opportunity to validate themselves and validate their fabricated frameworks. This is literally the only thing that they're interested in, always, at all times. This is why you hear me using the caveat or using the qualifier so-called so many times when I talk. So-called civilization, so-called white, so-called black, so-called race, so-called enlightenment, and what have you. Because none of these things are real things. These are all things that are just elements in their frameworks. And those frameworks are in...
So, essentially, and, hey, those in this truth, understand that more so than ever. And we understand that, everything this man has done, has put up, has created, hey, matter of fact, let me get that real quick, if I may, Baba Kashaw. Because he's really been doing everything that he's supposed to do. He's he's in order. This is Revelations 20:3, and it reads, let's see if we want to grab some more. We'll start at 1. I'll read quickly. It says, "And I saw an angel come down from heaven, having the key of the bottomless pit, and a great chain in his hand." We know that bottomless pit is Europe, a desolate wasteland, man, has no resources or anything of that nature. That's why they study, go throughout the world pillaging and robbing, and it was them who began the colonial era. It says, and he laid hold on the dragon, that old serpent, which is the devil and Satan, and bound him 1,000 years. And that's what they like to refer to as the Dark Ages. And that's when, Rome fell and it became the Holy Roman Empire. It says, and cast him into the bottomless pit, and shut him up, and set a seal upon him, that he should deceive the nations no more, till the 1,000 years should be fulfilled. And after that he must be loosed for a little season. And we know that little season is right now. And what would he do in that little season? He would set out to deceive the nations. Let me see if I can find that. If I may, bear with me. And we can see here also, that this mark is brought up. And, there's two marks. There's the Tawa and the Karat. And 2/3 of Israel and the rest of the world is going to receive the Karats, that micro sea hip. And I'm not going to go into that right now because I still want to go with this what I'm looking for here, and dealing with this Shahid Bolson. And so that's some lesson we can always go into at another time. But right now, what I'm looking for, let's see, Salakia. Probably give me the same thing, but okay, there we go. This is Revelations 20:8. It says, and here we go, starting at 7. And when the 1,000 years are expired, Satan will be loosed out of his prison, and shall go out to deceive the nations which are in the 4 quarters of the earth, Gog and Magog, to gather them together to battle, the number of whom is as the sand of the sea. And that's Gog of Magog. So essentially, what the understanding is that, this deception has already in process, is already taking place. You know what I mean? It already began. He was already loosed after his 1,000 years, which is known as the Renaissance period, when he came back into his own, so to speak, when he came back into power and began to rebuild, his but we are desolate, but we will return and rebuild the desolate places. You know what I mean? So the desolate places was Rome. And essentially this man, he built himself a new Rome, a newer, stronger, smellier, stinkier, more vile Rome than before. So now I want to go back to, because, this is Obadiah 1:3. It says, the pride of thine heart hath deceived thee, thou that dwellest in the clefts of the rocks, whose habitation is high, that saith in his heart, who shall bring me down to the ground? And this is Esau Edom. This is, and especially, the American Edomite. They are, man, they are more. Slovakia. I think that's what I'm. No, we'll come back to that. The water. This is Daniel 7:20. Slovakia, that's not what I was looking for. Let's see if I can go back here. Let's try this. Slovakia. Did I already have that? Yeah. Khan, Slovakia. This is Psalms 10. And we'll start at 4, and it reads, "The wicked, through the pride of his countenance, will not seek after the Most High. The Most High is not in all his thoughts. His ways are always grievous. Thy judgments are far out of his sight. As for all his enemies, he puffeth at them." You know, and that's these American Edomites, man. You know, they have the power of the sword. They Billy Bad. They're always, you know what I mean. They just, you know, a lot more arrogant. Like when we see Trump and his actions and his cabinets and all the people that are, you know, participating in what he's doing, they're all these, you know, arrogant, pompous. You know, no one can do anything about us. No one can do anything with us. This is why they felt that liberty to go up against a nation like Iran. You know, hey, Iran ain't nothing. We'll just walk in and we'll destroy them. But let's get back to this.
Tended to obscure reality. They're false claims. You understand? So whenever I use those terms, or whenever I refer to those things, I always try to remember to add that qualifier or add that caveat, because we do have to try to anchor our conversation as much as possible in actual reality. And that includes denying the reality of their unreality, because they always occupy an intellectual position of unreality on every single issue. The so-called rational, so-called reasoning, scientific method following West. So we have to start with the reality. We have to start with the reality. And even with that, there are layers. There are layers in this reality, okay? So there's no such thing as white people. Physically, I'm saying. Physically. You know, I remember reading the transcripts of Stephen Biko's trial, and no one said it better than him. White people, physically, are generally pink more than anything else. Beige, maybe. So-called black people are just different shades of brown. I mean, I know it might seem pedantic or what have you to mention something like this. It might seem petty to mention this, but again,
So this is Genesis 25:25, and it reads, let's see if we want to grab a little bit more. And let's start at 23. "And Yahweh said unto him, Two nations are in thy womb, and two manner of people shall be separated from thy bowels, and the one people shall be stronger than the other. people, and the elder shall serve the younger. And when her days to be delivered were fulfilled, behold, there were twins in her womb, and the first came out red all over like an hairy garment, and they called his name Esau. Now let's pink is a DER derivative of what colors? Let's see. Pink is primarily a derivative of red. So you can't get around it. You can't get over it. You can't get under it. You know? That's what that song, so low, you can't get under. Hey, man, this devil is being revealed, you know, more and more. And hey, the talking points that he's making right now are talking points of our elders and apostles and the men before them. You know, this man has been discovered. You know, his skirt has been lifted. Let's get this and then we can get back to him. It says, Isaiah 29:16, surely your turning of things upside down shall be esteemed as the potter's clay. For shall the work say of him that made it, he made me not? Or shall the thing framed say of him that framed it, he had no understanding? And this is Esau. This is why he set out to change everything and manipulate everything. You know?
Try to bring things back to reality. Actual black and actual white, black and white are opposites. So there's an embedded implication when you talk about people being white and black. You understand me? So again, I mean, I'm sorry, but this is what I mean. This is exactly what I mean. Their frameworks are layer upon layer upon layer of dishonesty and unreality. I wouldn't have to pick apart so much if there wasn't so much to pick apart. You understand me? So physically, white is not a real category. Humans don't come in these colors. We're not birds or something, cats or dogs or what have you. Human beings don't come in those colors. So let's dispense with that false construction from the outstart. It's moronic. And it only exists for political and economic reasons. For ideological functions in service to political and economic reasons. Now again, I'll repeat, because you did invent these categories and this method of compartmentalization and discrimination, and because your society actively treats people according to these categories, so-called black and so-called white, they exist as real things. In these terms, because you act like any of this is real, because you act like it's real, so now you have created very different experiences.
This is Isaiah 25 and verse 7, and it reads, and he will destroy in this mountain the face of the covering cast over all people, and the veil that is spread over all nations. And what is that covering cast? What is that veil? Black, white, Chinese, Japanese. You know, all of the original biblical names have been changed. The only one that still is attempting to keep a so-called biblical name is the people that reside in the land of Yasharallah, or the land of Canaan. You know, before Israel, which is a people before it's a place, went into the land was called the land of Canaan. You know, so again, Israel is a people before it's a place. And it's Yasharallah. You know, so this man has changed everything. He's turned everything upside down.
People, which means different histories for people, different communities, different identities, and so forth. all on the basis of your fabricated categories. So we have to make that distinction. In reality, in actual reality, so-called black and so-called white do not exist among humankind. But because you treat them like they do, because you classify human beings this way, now you force this to become an experiential reality for people. You understand? Now it is an experience that people have in this world, have in their lives, in their minds, in their psyches, in their identities, all based on a completely warped and entirely unjustifiable framework. See, you created this problem for mankind. You created this problem for mankind. Because before you created this problem, people just came from different places. People just had different physical characteristics. People had different backgrounds, different heritage, different lineage, different cultures, and so forth. Different languages, different customs, different practices, different beliefs, and what have you. And human beings all around the world just acknowledge the obvious reality that people who come from different places and come from different environments and come from different climates, they have their own qualities. And generally speaking, it was inconsequential.
1 Timothy 6:20. O Timothy, keep that which is committed to thy trust. Avoid profane and vain babblings and oppositions of science, falsely so called. And this devil has done nothing but promote this false science throughout the whole world. This multiple genders, this creation of colors to represent people. The natives or the indigenous people are red. The Asian men are yellow. The Hebrew Israelite man is black. The Northern Kingdom brown. The Edomite is white. He created a color construct, and the whole world follows after it. The whole world is following after this beast. But his time is coming to a head. His time is wrapping up. We're literally witnessing in real time the end of an age, the end of an era. Call Hala Yahweh Bahasham Yahweh Shai. We're here to witness and see it and watch it in real time. So I'm not going to make a very long video. I just wanted to bring that out and bring out a couple points on this. I may touch on some more later, but time to get back to what I got to do. So with that, I want to close by giving all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rahah Chadash. A double honors to the apostles, the elders, leadership, bishops, men of great millstone. Peace and salutations to the house of David, to the 144,000, and to the men, women, and children scattered throughout the four corners of the earth of the hopeful elect. To you I say, Shalom.